Or be
What's that?
I Oh, patios. We're good. Good afternoon. It is Wednesday, June 17, 2015. And it is exactly 4:30 in the afternoon. We'll begin our council meeting. May I have a roll call, please?
Ron Rensing.
Here.
Randy Funkert.
Here.
Brad Hint.
Here.
Greg Gills. Zach Sawyer.
Here.
First on the agenda, public comments. There are none, so we will move on to the consent agenda. Do you have any questions regarding this lengthy consent agenda?
Permanent outdoor liquor license. I'm just curious. Does that mean it's going to be open all the time? Obviously,
His patio to the
subject to
south.
weather. Oh, just a patio.
Mm-hmm.
He built that deck on the south end there, so that is an enclosed area, so it's deemed as a permanent part of his structure, so he can get an outdoor one for that.
And you can. And
Yes.
it's a separate one?
It'll
Well,
be
it's
included
just
on his
excluded.
regular
Okay.
liquor license.
Yep,
Okay,
but the other
thank you.
ones and stuff, you still have to provide the date, the diagram, and
Like the
whatnot.
June
It's separate
27th
Okay.
one.
I just
Correct.
wondered.
Yep, no,
Okay.
good question.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, any other questions regarding the consent agenda?
Motion.
Thank you.
Support.
Thank you. If there's no further discussion, I would like a roll call, please.
Funkert.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Rensing.
Aye.
And then in new business, we will now open the public hearing to consider the vacation of property. The public hearing is now open. Are there any public comments?
I'll move we close.
Thank you.
Support.
Thank you. Roll call to close the public hearing, please.
Funkert.
Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Rensing.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
There are two items underneath this line item. First is to consider the approval to vacate the public right-of-way. We will need, we'll go ahead, Ron.
I'll move.
Thank you.
Support.
Thank you. And could I have a roll call, please?
Hint.
Aye.
Rensing.
Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Funkert.
Aye.
And the second portion is to consider the request from the SEDC, and this is because the Rosablooms will be purchasing the property for $1, and because that is below what our rate per acre is, it has to come before the city. Do you have any questions regarding that, and would you like to elaborate?
And I'll just point out, it's 0.07 acres. Our payback agreement with the SCDC is $18,042 per acre. So the portion that we'd forgive is $1,262.94. So we're technically not selling the property. The SCDC owns it, but we do need to forgive that amount in order for them to sell it for that.
Okay. Any questions, comments? If not, can we have a motion?
They're paying the legal costs?
Yes.
That is correct.
Okay. And that just squares everything up out there?
It does with kind of where the other plat line stuff was that you saw in that plat. So
Yep. I'll make the motion to waive that.
Thank you.
Support.
Thank you. Last request for your comments. Roll call, please.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Funkert.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Rensing.
Aye.
Thank you. Number 4 on our agenda is we will now consider the third and final reading of the water sewer ordinance rate increase. I have not had any feedback personally regarding this.
have we heard anything at the office as well?
No.
Okay.
I'll move.
Support.
Thank you. And a roll call to approve the third and final reading of the water sewer rate increase ordinance.
Funkert.
Aye.
Rensing.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Number 5 is considering pay estimate number 3 on our airport runway in the amount of $112,482.85. And Scott has informed me they're done ahead of schedule.
Yeah,
Pretty much?
Yeah, $112,000.
Oh, what did I say, $12,000?
$112.
$112. These new glasses. $112, $482.85.
They have reached what you would probably call substantial completion. There's a couple items they'd have to do a final walkthrough and stuff yet, and then they'll establish a punch list of items. Then also the FAA requires basically a flyover due to the fact it's with runway lights and whatnot. So actually the FAA will come in and actually fly over as part of the project to make sure the lights work accurately, et cetera. That's actually a separate contract. That was a part of our original agreement. So hopefully in the next month or so that'll be completed as well. So it'll be a little while before we actually wrap this project up, but the airport runway and stuff is back and open.
Nice.
Are those lights keyed by the pilots, or they have to The
That
same
is
way it
correct.
was
They can
before.
basically turn them on as
can
they
turn them
land.
off and-
Yep.
Or turn them on.
Yep. So we're very happy with how it went, and yeah, they were about 8-10 days ahead of schedule,
That's
which
nice.
doesn't happen very often on very many projects. But they came in, they understood the importance of make sure to get the runway back open. And we did have the runway open for certain times. Basically, anybody landing basically had to notify the airport so we could get our contractors and stuff out of the way. As long as they weren't pouring concrete, they didn't seem to have a problem with it, so it worked really well.
I'll make the motion to approve that payment.
Support.
Thank you. And if there's no further discussion, a roll call, please.
Funkert,
Aye.
Rensink.
Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Thank you. And last on our quick agenda here is comments. Do we have any comments? Council comments?
I have
Mhm.
sewer plant. Give me an update on that. What's happening with the DNR or the, whatever we want to call our friends from government?
We received a preliminary draft, or the first draft of our permit from the DNR a couple weeks ago. We have reviewed it, myself and Dean Paulson, wastewater superintendent, have reviewed it. We've also sent it up to DGR, and Mike Carr up there has been helping us review it. We had 10 days basically to provide response to the issuance of the permit. There's a few things that we are debating. We're asking why there's certain reasons why some testing frequencies, maybe questioning some of the levels that they want us to go down to. Anyways, we've made that response. We're now waiting back to hear back from the permit writer from the DNR. I anticipate then there's a public comment period where the permit goes out for public comment. I believe that's 45 days. And then probably sometime in September, October, we'll actually receive the permit.
So the systems and the processes and the equipment we have in place right now is deemed sufficient then? Because weren't we concerned about,
There's certain things I'm fairly positive we're not going to get out of. We're not going to get out of disinfection. So we will probably have to add some sort of disinfection to the effluent of the wastewater plant. And we've known that for a while, that's something that's pretty common that they're making to do.
Yeah, we actually debated a couple of years ago. The engineers even said, hey, why don't you guys just go ahead and do it? Well, we struggled with spending that money until the DNR actually came and we had it in our new permit to do some of those items.
So on disinfection, we'll have some choices to make, whether we want to do chlorination and then dechlorination because you can't discharge chlorinated water, or whether we want to put in a process like UV light. UV light is probably a little more money up front, but long term is a better, greener solution, I guess. So
our RGBs or whatever, they're okay and
our RBCs are fine, other than we're being challenged in the permit to reduce stable nitrogen and phosphorus.
won't do that.
Which we won't, we can't under our current treatment methods. So we're going to have to be looking, assuming the permit gets issued with the current language in it, we'd be looking at some sort of an upgrade or update to do that. I don't know what that's going to be yet. It's too preliminary to know. The other thing that we'll probably be reviewing through this process is load. Do we need an upgrade? Do we need an upgrade in size? Do we need to allow ourselves to be able to take more waste?
We've talked with some of our growth that we've had out east, and, future expansion, future development, and we have to do potentially some major upgrades at our wastewater treatment plant. This is a time we maybe look at it rolling some of that in, expansion of the plant as a whole, like Todd said, just from a load standpoint.
Do we do we have to enter into a contract with DGR for this, or are we just hiring them on a consulting basis and giving them the checkbook and say, go ahead and send us a bill and we'll just sign the check when it comes? Or
Basically, all we have done right now for, a handful of hours.
On engineers.
Yep. At some point in time, we will have to enter a contract for services with them. Right now, just for the review of the draft permit,
We don't have to?
we didn't. It was just kind of an hourly basis that, Todd and Dean have met with them a couple times for some bills. But once we get our permit and we start getting in the weeds and have to start determining immediately in the next 3 to 5 years or whatnot, that'll certainly get way more extensive.
Yeah,
That will
okay.
be coming back to you guys.
Yeah, depending upon what the final draft looks like, will really determine what some of our timelines are.
How long a time period if they issue us a permit, how long a time period is that permit good for?
It's a yearly permit, I believe. We pay for a permit every year right now for the last 10 years. We just haven't actually
Okay,
had
so
it.
we just renew it.
Yeah. But there is. I think your question is when can they make more changes?
Yeah.
And I believe, and don't quote me on this because I might be off by a year or two or whatever, but I believe there's something in there once they issue with new limits and new permits and you go through upgrades. I believe they have to. There's like a 7 or 10 year period in there somewhere before they can hit you with more.
Okay,
That'd be nice.
that's what I would.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
You say you go 5 years because then we'll go 5 years to comply or whatever it is. I hate to see in year 3 or 4 already
Yeah.
they say, "Hey, here's new standards."
Well, that's
Well,
what-
gee, why didn't you tell us that? There's no way we can. They're right in the middle of our project.
We'll have to see what all the timeframes actually say in our final permit. I mean, currently, there's, in the draft permit, there's some things that have no compliance schedule, meaning we think you can do it now with what you have, so do it. We're debating a couple of those because we disagree with a couple of those. And there's some other ones that they're giving us 3 years in the draft, and there's other ones they're giving us 5 years to comply in the draft permit.
To comply, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I want to stress that that's
Yeah.
all in the draft
Yeah,
permit.
I understand.
Until we actually get the final permit.
Yeah. Okay.
It's really hard for me to answer exactly what's going to happen or what's going to have to happen.
Time-wise, once we get our actual permit, if it's September, October, whenever it is, that's the point we'll probably come back and say, here's what our permit is. You know, with our engineer, here's kind of what we see, start looking at direction because we anticipate looking into this next budget cycle, which, starts this fall into the winter. We'll start looking at things, one from dollars and cents with just some of the testing requirements and all those type items that will probably happen immediately, but then looking long term as part of our capital improvement plan, et cetera, planning to budget for how we're going to actually make those improvements. So
There's some testing parameters in the draft permit that we currently test for twice a month, and they're asking us to do 3 times a week. That's going to raise some costs. I mean, if we don't get that changed or if we can't come up to a different solution. So that's where it's at.
Okay, thank
More
you.
to come.
Any other comments? This side? Zach and Scott, do you have anything?
I have nothing else.
I just have a couple very simple things. It's summer, it's break time, kids are out and about on bicycles. I saw a little boy get clipped on his bicycle by a car. They just weren't paying attention. Thankfully, everybody was okay, but I just want to remind the public, slow down. The kids are out there. Be cautious, especially this weekend with Rise Fest on the east side. It's going to get busy, so just everybody heads up. And on that note, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Support?
Thank you. Roll call.
Hint,
Aye.
Funkert,
Aye.
Rensing,
Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Are we going to get some mowing done out at, just off Barber?